Rejection is a part of life. You cannot hide from that. You have to, you can stay in your parents' basement for the rest of your life and not handle rejection. But again, women want to see that you can, and they do all these things and kind of give you the runaround and the shit test, because that they are doing it because they want to see that you can push through these things and be a leader.
Sarah Moore is a men's advocate.
If a woman leaves a date feeling that you know nothing about her and that you know that she was just there listening, and you want to go out with her again, she'll start questioning, well, why does he want to go out with me again? He doesn't know anything about me. He must just be attracted to me from a physical standpoint, which is fine. But I didn't feel as though the date went very well because it was all just one-sided.
She uncovers societal myths about men and helps to create a more positive narrative. And that's the type of woman that you want to pursue a relationship with.
Because she's not going to be giving a bunch of thirst traps on Instagram, gaining male validation from other people.
Her belief is that men are misunderstood, and through her own journey, she's come to understand them at a deep level, and ultimately wants others to see what she sees in them. Can that be fixed?
Yes, I think that there is a way back.
So Sarah, as a dating coach, you speak to a lot of men who are struggling with their dating lives and with their relationships, perhaps in relationships that have become quite stale, or dating lives that they simply are stuck in and cannot pursue towards a meaningful relationship or meeting women that are on their same level. And my first question is directed towards you in specific. And can you tell me about some of your own personal dating disasters or relationship disasters that you've learned a lot of lessons from, and what lessons did you learn that men can apply in their own lives today?
So I come from a different perspective, because I'll be the first one to admit that I knew absolutely nothing about men. I've been in long-term relationships, and the relationship of all relationships that kind of opened up Pandora's box for me was I was engaged, living in Texas at the time. I was 30 years old, and kind of rushed into the relationship, right? Because that's what you're supposed to do at that age. And we literally had a white picket fence at our house. It's very America Southern. And about 6 days before the wedding, we got into this monumental disagreement, this huge fight, and basically realized that we were really just getting married for all the wrong reasons. And there was really no like coming back from that. So I took about a year off of men in general, and just said, I'm done. I obviously have some issues that I need to work through. And you have men have mommy issues. Like obviously women can have daddy issues. I lost my dad when I was very young to a heart attack. And I didn't realize how much that affected my mate choice, or affected the behaviors that I was putting out there into the universe and the things that I was attracting into my life. And so I did a lot of self evaluation, a lot of self work, which included like going to rehab, and there's like a whole other story that I got into some stuff, some really painful experiences. And one of the biggest things that I learned was just from a personal accountability standpoint, that obviously I was the common denominator. And I took my time really learning men. And when I went to the internet and like scoured the internet for all this information, I couldn't really find anything. There's not a lot of information on you guys for whatever reason. I don't know. Very few women are talking about what what men need to thrive, what men are looking for, like in a long-term relationship and a long-term partnership. There's a lot of information about how to like kind of catch you and get you in and get you to commit, but talk about making a man like happy long term. So my thing is, the platform that I speak about is, really first, like you have to stop blaming, right? Like we can blame the opposite sex for eons and be unhappy about what's happening right now. Yes, like the dating app atmosphere has changed quite a bit. It's made a lot of things harder and better in some ways. We can blame women or we can blame men for their behaviors, but we really just have to acknowledge that we are different, which is like a novel thing to acknowledge nowadays. I think people, for whatever reason, are shying away from it. That, oh, we're all the same. 100% absolutely not. We are absolutely not the same. So once I kind of had that light bulb go off and that epiphany, and just accepted that, okay, this is I have to take personal accountability. I have to learn men if I want to be in a relationship with men. And once I learn them, then I just have to go practice. And that's the same thing that I say with men is, okay, deal with your mommy issues, heal your warrior wounds, learn about women, and then go out and practice. And that's all you can control is yourself. And then you will start to, once you heal yourself, once that happened for me, I started to see amazing men all around me, like amazing men just like coming out of the woodworks. And I started to appreciate the differences versus resent the differences.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a long story short. I can go into it in different ways if you want me to, but for me it's all about personal accountability and then going from there and growth
Mm-hmm.
and understanding.
Is there certain dynamics that you believe a man should have intact when he is, let's say, pursuing a woman or he's dating a woman?
Are we talking about a man who wants a relationship? Are we talking about somebody who just wants to
We're
have a good
talk
time?
we're talking about a man who wants a relationship. I think most men, especially men who listen to this podcast, are in that realm of looking for something more meaningful in their lives than just a quick fuck. So
Yep.
yes, some towards pursuing a meaningful connection with a woman. Yeah.
hmm Women, the number one thing I believe that they value is safety. They want to feel safe. Um, Women will tell you that they want like this emotionally available man who's super sensitive and who's, has all of these qualities that they admire in women. I'm here to tell you that once I once I figured out what it is that I wanted, I realized that that was a lie that society was telling me, and that I was trying to believe because like I was a former feminist and I had just these ideas of like what I thought I wanted in a man. So I would say listen to like do the opposite. Do the opposite. We are looking for strength because that is something that we don't naturally possess within ourselves. Like we want that security and we want you to provide that security with us. So when you come to us with this frame of like confidence, this frame of I'd love to have you in my life. I don't need you in my life. I do have other options, not necessarily in that you're like throwing it in our face or that you're telling me that you have, Becky on Friday and me on Saturday. No thanks. I don't want to know those things. But when you come to me with just this confidence and you're speaking well about women and that you're happy and that you're on your purpose and I know that these things are cliche because we hear them a lot, like the whole social media world is talking about this as far as men being on their purpose, but Jordan Peterson calls it the generation of the lost boys, and he might have a point. Like there are a lot of like lost men out there that are just kind of floundering, and when a woman senses that type of I don't say weakness, but just when
Energy,
she
that type
senses
of
this,
energy. Yeah.
yes, when you have this type of energy that just comes across as, kind of, I don't know what I want, or I'm not sure, or are you
Soft,
it? Are you
nice.
not it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if I ask you, like, what are you looking for in a woman? What do you value? Like, what type of relationship are you looking to build? And if you haven't really thought through the answers to those questions, a woman is automatically going to assume that you just, okay, well, he doesn't know what he wants. He just wants to sleep with me. He's not looking for a relationship. He hasn't even thought or put in the thought of what he values in a woman. How does he know? How can he run my household? How can he be a father? How can he run a business if he doesn't even know the answer to like simple questions? Make sense?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, a man needs to have a purpose outside of the woman. Yeah. A man needs to have a mission outside of the woman. The woman cannot
Mm-hmm.
be his all and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also, as you talk about weakness or softness or lost boys in specific, then the woman is going to have to hold this emotional space for him and
Mm-hmm.
begin to substitute his mommy for him. So it's like what you said earlier about you've got to heal those mother wounds. You've got to tap in deep within yourself and heal those scars from the past and change your energy. Reach a higher frequency. And if you do want to attain a higher standard of woman in your life or a high standard woman in your life, you've got to raise your own standards first. So,
Right.
and that's it's a simple message, but there's a lot of work required there. There's a lot of courage.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of difficulty and resistance because there's a lot of pain you need to tap into.
Right.
But
Right.
without doing that, the pain prolongs. Your loneliness prolongs. Your dating life continues to diminish, or your relationship continues to uh, fall apart. So,
And I think you asked me, kind of dating disasters. And the biggest thing that I find that has happened repeatedly for me in particular is that I have almost become someone's coach, someone's therapist, someone's yeah. I mean, I dated an ex. We have the Navy SEALs, right? That's like the highest branch of military here in the States. It's like that's as alpha as you can get. And I dated a Navy SEAL, and he was a wonderful, wonderful human being, but dealt with infidelity in his marriage, affairs, PTSD. He was like an alpha. I hate these terms, but just
mhm.
for go with it for sake of using the terms, he was like an alpha on the outside, but a complete disaster, like beta on the inside. I mean, he was like falling apart. And that's not the first time it's happened, but men kind of they have they have this they have again a great physique, right? Like built physical physique, and you look at them from the outside and think, oh, but then when you start unwrapping the package, you start seeing that they have not dealt with any of this stuff. And then you start to become this motherly figure. You start to reassure them that, you're not okay. Well, I'll be here for you. I'm not going to hurt. And then the relationship becomes very unbalanced because the woman feels like, okay, now I have to take care of this person. Now this person is like my son, and no woman wants to sleep with her son. Like it just becomes, and I tell the men this all the time, like if you're in a sexless situation, something has shifted in her, and she now views you as more of like her, like she has this more maternal role in your life, and that's a turnoff. My ex-fiance would leave his stuff all over the place, and I would pick it up like a little mommy wifey going around picking up his stuff. Those things are not attractive to us. We want to feel as though we have a partnership. We have no problem being more traditional. I have no problem being more of a traditional female, but that doesn't mean that I want to baby you or have you be a child in my
Mhm.
home. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's a fine line, but if men took the time again to really kind of understand these little tiny nuances, they would be getting sex all the time. Because women actually, especially my age, I'm 38. I mean, women who are between the ages of 35 and 50, I would say are some of the most, sexually indulgent, and we're in our prime. Then I think that men, if they just learn these little nuances, they would really be getting a lot of fruitful
Yes,
sex and other things as well.
good stuff. You're selling it. You're selling it pretty well there. And if we were to sort of go rewind there and go back to this hookup culture, I was
Mhm.
asked a question about it today on my Insta stories. I'm going to do a video about it because I have my own perspective on that. What's your opinion or thoughts? Is it is it destroying or is
Oh,
it creating something good, potentially
no,
something good?
no. I think it's 100% destroying. I mean,
Is it is
I
it is
think,
it subjective on age though as well? You know, you take an 18, 19, 20-year-old man in the hookup culture, you say, okay, you're experimenting or you're exploring. But if you're fucking 30, if you're 30 plus and you're still in that culture, you've got some serious questions to
yeah,
ask yourself. So yeah, just your perspective on that, because it is a definite trend or a thing at the moment.
yeah. Well, and for me, I can only speak from personal experience, but what I think for me, sex and hookup was my inability to connect intimately with a partner. So it takes a lot more risk, takes a lot more emotional fortitude, it takes a lot more depth to build something with someone versus, I mean, I can go sleep with a guy right now, tonight, maybe in an hour if I wanted to. That's easy. That's not hard. What is hard is this dialogue, growth. When you're in a relationship, it brings out all of your traumas. So having to work through that and finding someone to work through that with, that's the hard part. So I think again, we're living in this instant gratification society. We are living, it's paycheck to paycheck, it's hookup to hookup. And I'm not sure how I see this going any other way but bad. Um, for us in the States, it's 100% destroying the nuclear family. And I see that being a huge problem. The nuclear family is looked at as a bad thing, from men and women. Men are being told to not get married because there's too much risk, and women are being told also, like, exercise your sexual liberation. And I'm just not quite sure that's the message. For me, that's not the message that I want to spread. For me, it's find someone that you can work through your trauma with, and find someone you can heal with, because that is the ultimate, fulfilling. The most fulfilling experiences in my life have been shared with another person, whether that's traveling, whether that's going on, an adventure, whether that's having someone, in couples, even in couples therapy. I enjoyed that process because I learned so much about the other person. So I think it's a matter of what's important to you. And once people understand that if you go this route, like the road less traveled, which is what people aren't doing right now, is trying to find a relationship, there's so much meaning and there's so much more purpose in that than just a one night stand. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes one night, hookup for me, at some point, it started to make me feel worse because, okay, you wake up the next morning and it's great. You have breakfast and then you walk each other to your car. And then what? You started over with someone else?
There's a cost to everything, and especially with sex, there's an emotional cost there. A lot of it, from a man's perspective, is the fear of rejection, and
Mm,
I think that's huge for men. And I've spoken to a few women in their early 20s who've been telling me about their experiences of turning men down and how these men have been reacting to their rejections and just can't take it. They won't go away. They continue to persist. And again, it's a very childlike, immature behavior that you're supposed to get whatever you want in life. This sort of
Mm-hmm.
entitled generation. You talk about this
Mm-hmm.
instant gratification generation, but it's also tied up with that entitlement. So, and that sort of bleeds into the hookup culture as well, where you feel like you're entitled to sleep with whoever you want, whenever you want, and do whatever the fuck you want without
Right.
taking any responsibility for your actions.
Right. Yeah, and I have a real problem with some of the, I sometimes tend to get lumped into the red pill community. And that bothers me quite a bit because I do not prescribe to that type of thinking. Um, I do think that there's 50% of what they say is good, right? Like a men should be on, as far as men should be on their purpose, men should be building their life. I mean, that part I don't disagree with, but the juggling three or four women, kind of game, um, that gets exhausting for men as well. And I know a lot of men, a ton of men who write me in my DMs all the time that say that's not what we want. And I think, society is giving them permission to do that as well. And
And Andrew Tate's given them permission to do it, isn't it?
yeah, true. I mean, and it's like I don't even want to whisper that name out of my mouth because it just feels like a curse word. But I don't know how that's really helping. I don't know how that's really helping society.
Yeah.
I think we need to go back to healing ourselves, getting out, pursuing our passions, doing what we're going to do, but talking to people in real life, realizing that rejection is a part of life. I mean, I can't tell you how many jobs I've gone after that I didn't get, which led me to the next job, right? Where I was able to look back and say, there's a reason why I didn't get that. Now I learned through through the interview process. There's guys that I've gone out with that it hasn't worked out with. And you say, okay, I learned from that. What do I do differently the next time? And you go keep on, you just build, it's just constant resiliency, right? You just keep on building. And whether it was COVID, whether it's these online apps, whether it's people just not talking to, I mean, I literally had a man in my DMs tell me like, well, why would I want to go through rejection? Well, because rejection is a part of life. You cannot hide from that. You have to, you can stay in your parents' basement for the rest of your life and not handle rejection. But again, women want to see that you can, and they do all these things and kind of give you the runaround and the shit test because that they are doing it because they want to see that you can like you can push through these things
Yeah.
and be a leader.
Exactly.
And I think
It's yeah.
men are missing that a little bit these days.
How you handle that rejection, it defines you as a man. And if you handle that rejection like a little boy and
Mm-hmm.
you can't take it, you continue to persist, you maybe even get angry with the woman about it, then that's gonna completely fuck up any chance you had with her. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you've just got her on a bad night. Maybe she just wants to hang out with her friends. Maybe she's a boyfriend, but who knows? Somewhere down the line, you may meet her again, and she's in a different frame of mind, and maybe she's more open to explore something with you. But you've just fucked it up. If you can walk away from that situation and tell her how beautiful she looks and to wish her a good night, well, fuck, that's a good move.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh, it's an amazing move. And the most attractive thing too is actually one of the most unattractive things is a man who is angry, who is like bitter and angry, and these like men going their own way. It's it's the worst. It is so unattractive. So if you come to us with this, you're genuinely happy, you show appreciation, even if I was had a boyfriend at the time and a man came up to me and I told him, you know what, I have a boyfriend, but he was still appreciative of my time and cute and flirty. I say, thank you so much. Like you've made my night. You help, you kind of boosted my self-esteem a little bit. And like, I'm very thankful and appreciative, but I've also had the man who has been, giving me attitude, was kind of angry, was kind of bitter, was kind of a jerk. And then it's like repulsive. You just want to say, all right, like, get away from me, dude. Like, I didn't do anything to you. Why are you unnecessarily angry? And it's like, you can see their mommy issues from a mile away. And women want to stay far away from that.
Yeah. So what do you believe are some of the pitfalls that men are falling into at the moment? Like, given your own experience, are you dating at the moment? Are you sort of in that
Hmm.
field? So
Yeah.
what are still some of these common pitfalls that are occurring in the dating field?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, so I have a big kind of range of age. I've dated younger men because the if they are 32 and I'm 38, there's a 5 year difference. It doesn't really make a big difference. Or I've dated all the way up to 50. So the thing that I can say between these two age differences, this age bracket, is uh, um, 50-year-olds or 45 or in their, right? Like, when you start to kind of move up, there is this kind of old school, they call you on the phone, they set the date, they are very, here, they don't even necessarily give you options. Like, they're a little bit more old school, right? They say, I'm going to pick you up at 7. We're going to go here for dinner. I look forward to seeing you. Like, it's very straight and to the point. And I think women really appreciate that because we have a lot going on in our minds at all times, right? We don't necessarily want to plan everything. Now, fast forward to 32 years old, and you have, well, we could go here, we could go here. Do you want to go Top Golf? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? There's kind of this tons of options. And they think that they are being helpful, but it's there's a better
Decision
reception.
fatigue. Yeah.
It's, yeah, kind of decision fatigue, whatever you want to call it. But there is a sense of confidence that an older man has that I think a little bit of a younger man is kind of missing. That's one. Another thing that I think what I found is men tend to want to show up and show off. And I've had many men that I've gone out on dates with that, I couldn't get a word in. They were telling me about literally all their trophies from when they were 13 to when they were 30. I mean, it's like all the things, right? And I've given really good feedback to men that I've dated. They've actually been because I'm all about feedback. I'm a coach, right? They don't know that. Some recognize me, which is awkward, and some don't. But if I say, look, I don't really want to go out with you again, would you be open to feedback? And a lot of them are, because I don't think a lot of women offer that. And that's fine. I'm happy to. And some of the feedback that I give is, listen to understand, don't listen to be understood. Have a dialogue with a woman, make sure that you're asking thoughtful questions to her, because if a woman leaves a date feeling this is what it is. If a woman leaves a date feeling that you know nothing about her and that she was just there listening, and you want to go out with her again, she'll start questioning, well, why does he want to go out with me again? He doesn't know anything about me. He must just be attracted to me from a physical standpoint, which is fine. But I didn't feel as though the date went very well because it was all just one-sided. So I think men get nervous, right? And they want to show their best self to you, but it really behooves you to take a step back and listen and ask questions and make sure that you actively are just like stopping to listen to what the woman has to say. That's just huge because a lot of men aren't doing that right now.
Yeah.
And then be different. Like, my thing is, be different than the fold. If somebody texts, we live in a texting generation. I think it's amazing when a guy picks up the phone and just calls me out of nowhere. Like and some women may not like that, and that's fine. But personally, for me, I find it to be highly attractive because that tells me that you're confident. That tells me that you like have, guts. I mean, it tells me that you're wanting to show me that like you can communicate other than through using whatever means. Like if you're going to call me up and set up a first date, I don't need to be talked to all the time. You don't have to call me every day, but like mix it, just like mix it up a little bit and have these are just tiny, tiny little things that make a huge difference. And they're not really that hard. They're not really that hard.
Well,
And
it's making the woman feel like she matters. You know that
mhm,
you appreciate being there with her, and you're grateful for her company. And going back to these dates where you can't get a word in, and the man's talking about all his achievements. It's a clear demonstration of his own insecurities that he doesn't feel
mhm,
worthy enough as a man to be there with you on a date, and he has to prove himself in some sort of way. But hey, man,
yeah,
she's accepted to go on a date with you, so she's clearly interested.
right.
Sit back and get to know each other, get to know this woman, and yeah. So there's you call it nervousness. Yeah, it probably is nerves, but the nerves are sourced from some underlying insecurity that he has, that he's just not enough, or he's not worthy enough to be with a beautiful woman.
100%. And it can go for women as well. I mean, we can do the same thing and talk ourselves into a tizzy unnecessarily. But that's what one of the things I learned from myself, right? When you are truly secure and you've really worked on yourself, you go into a date knowing this may not go forward. This something might happen, something may not. I'm going to be okay either way. I really don't care about the outcome. I really am not attached. So when you show up, you own, like when I go on a date now, it's what am I going to do for the next hour or two that is just going to be right here in the present? I'm going to enjoy this person's time. They might be a complete stranger. I might have met them at the gym. I might have wherever. We don't know each other very well. What am I going to do in this moment to just enjoy the other person? And once you go into the date like that and you're not I think men, they get into their head. They think about, okay, what does she want to hear? What are the cues? What are the things I need to say that's gonna show her this or that? And it's none of that. Not because it comes across as inauthentic. It comes across as insecurity. It comes across as all these things. And anyone who is really healthy and who has done their own inner work can sense that. And it becomes a misalignment because I now only want to attract confident, I really don't like the word high value. That really just, I don't, that doesn't really do it for me. But somebody who has done their inner work to heal themselves, those are the type of men that I want to attract at this point in my life because I've done so much growth, right? And so a woman who's done all that, she's she's going to want that type of man who is incredibly confident. And I can tell you have that calm presence about you. You've obviously done a lot of work. You obviously have this platform for a reason. And a woman is very intuitive. I mean, we've been trained to be this way. We're looking at you as potential, to raise children, and we're vetting you on very subconscious things that are like happening underneath the veil. You know what I'm saying? So we're looking for that like silent strength. And a man who is confident, who has done his work, doesn't care about the outcome.
Yeah, it's a great attitude to have. Are there
I
some
think so.
non-negotiables that a man should adhere to when he goes on a first date with a woman? I know that yes, being present and being listening to the woman and trying to get to understand her and to establish some connection is vital for sure. But are there some sort of maybe surface level things that will help hard to penetrate him on a deeper level, let's say, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
Not that type of penetration just yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah,
we're
yeah.
we're still we're still at the bar here. We're still at the restaurant. So yeah.
I would say really keep things positive. I think men and women, I don't understand talking about exes or past situations. I don't think it's healthy. I think once you've moved on from your past, I don't need to hear about any of that. And there is absolutely no reason why I should be telling you about that stuff. Um, I,
You're speaking in terms of relationships only though, not other past experiences, or are you talking about
I
all
think
past?
no, past relationships. No, I mean, if I want to talk to you about, something that I had learned or I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, the reason why I did a triathlon 3 years ago or no, the past is fine to talk about. When it comes to relationships, if you want to focus on, like, if somebody asks me about a relationship on a first date, which is rare, but sometimes it does come up, really it's all just, this is what I've learned, this is how I've moved on, this is what I'm looking for now in the future, and I keep it very positive. I think that is a pitfall that people run into, and I would I would I would advise against it, to really not talk about, and just be positive, and talk about, things that you're passionate about.
Your old trophies from the past.
Yeah, or things that you want to accomplish, or
Yeah,
places that
yeah.
you want to places that you want to travel, or things that you want to do, or you know I don't know, something that I don't know about you that's interesting, the fact that
Mm-hmm.
you possibly maybe like to cook, or you want to go to Italy and tour the
Yeah.
regions of Chianti, like, stuff that you can find common interests in. But really, really big things are, don't talk about your past. Don't talk about your troubled family or your childhood. don't don't talk about things that, like, you're working on in therapy. I don't, that's
Is
just too much.
is
I don't want
is that a good thing though? If a woman is opening up about her past struggles or past traumas or past difficulties in her childhood, that she's actually comfortable to open up to you about that? Is that a green flag or is that a red flag in your eyes?
I think it's all about context. It's all about how she frames it, and
Or she's
how.
overcome it, or she's worked on it and she's healed from it, or
Yeah, I would myself, as an example. I mean, I'm open, very open with my audience about some of the struggles that I've had with men, and the reasons why I've gotten to where I've gotten, and how I'm moving on and how I'm moving forward with that. Um, I, but I don't have any type of anger towards men. I don't have any type of, animosity towards them. I really took the time to learn and to heal. But that also happens, I wouldn't say first date, second date. Like, that's like we're in a relationship, or we, have decided to become exclusive. I think that there's so many things that need to happen. It, I think people just need to focus on having fun. Like, we need to remember, like, there's so many good things to do. I live on a beach. I mean, we can go walk the beach, we can go surf. You need to kind of figure out if this is a person that you just want to spend time with, and that the energy feels good. Because a lot of the times I think we want to get so into, just so, like, deep into the conversation and really get to know someone, and, like, really vet them out to figure out if they're the right fit or not. But a lot of times we forget to just go and do things,
mm-hmm.
go and, like, experience life, and then you start creating these, like, fun shared experiences with each other, and that stuff will come out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that stuff will come out, and you'll be able to filter, okay, how is this person, how much growth is this person, and but if you just like dump on me within the first couple of dates, or if you just come at me with all of this emotional vulnerability, I think that for me, I view that as kind of a lack of boundaries, like a lack of like appropriate filter. And we live in a society where we get advice on social media from therapists. Like, I get it, I understand, but that's still, you still need to practice like proper etiquette when getting to know someone.
Hmm.
Because if you meet someone online, they are a complete stranger, 100% complete stranger. So would you walk up to somebody in the grocery store and start talking to them about your past relationships? No, never. You would never do that. You would like talk about the weather. You would talk about, what does the surf look like? Like, how are the waves doing? You want to go surfing. Like, we need to kind of go back to just spending time with each other.
Yeah.
Personally, that is just my 2 cents.
Yeah. Big value there. So, what are some of the cues that men need to look out for to know that the date is going well?
Mm-hmm. A lot of the times for me, I'll set a coffee date. I know people are big, have big opinions about this. Apparently, a woman wants to be taken out to dinner. I personally do not, because I am right. I mean, my time is valuable. So 30 to 45 minutes. A lot of the time, a lot of the times, women know very quickly whether they are going to want to sleep with you. That's just me being 100% honest. There are things that can move in either direction, but what what happens for me is, if I feel comfortable and if I feel the date is going well, that 30 minutes will quickly turn into like 2 hours. And we will be there, and I will look at my watch and we'll have lost track of time and said, oh, okay, we're 2 hours in. I probably need to get going now. That's a good sign. If she is not looking at her watch, and it's 30, 45 minutes, you guys have finished your coffee and she's ready to go, not the best sign. Because although I set up a coffee date and say, let's go get coffee or let's go for a beach walk, that I set up the time in my calendar that could, there could be extending, right? Um, I think men should test, whether or not they say, I don't know what the cue is for them to use, but a lot of the times I'll have a guy say, I'd like to see you again. Would you like to do this again? And giving her the opportunity to say yes, or giving her the opportunity to say no. Um,
Or she might say
that's
yes
a
and not mean it.
She might say yes and not mean it. Women have a really hard time. We don't like to hurt people's feelings. That's a big thing with women. So you have to pay attention to her actions. And if you're texting her the next day saying, would you like to get together? And she is not responsive, then you need to cut your losses and move on. There's just like with, well, I don't know about men. Men are a little less picky than women, but women are very clear with their actions. If they're showing you signals, they're not giving you a appropriate time or date to set up a time to get together with them again. They're giving you wishy-washy signals. Like, it's very clear they're not interested. So you have to cut your losses and like not take it personally and move on to the next one. But I would say the biggest one is extending the date. I'm
Hmm.
trying to think what other things that I have done. What do you think? What are other things that you've gotten from women that you've?
Well, if there is a significant amount of eye contact,
Yes.
smiling, laughing, and
Yep.
if she's stroking her hair or if she's playing with her
Mm-hmm.
hair, if she
Mm-hmm.
reaches out and maybe touches your hand,
Yep. That's a big one.
these sort of subtle cues. So, yes, and at the end of the date, if there is some sort of physical exchange there,
Mm-hmm.
some
Mm-hmm.
sort of physical exchange, like a hug or
Mm-hmm.
even a kiss in the cheek or something like that, it's a good sign, I think. That
Yeah,
is that
for
is not
sure.
that is not just it's not a handshake or a high five or a fist pump. So there's a deeper level of engagement there.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all good signs, I believe. And yeah, but the eye contact, I think, is one thing that's quite significant. If
I
she go
think I would agree.
if she goes to the bathroom or maybe goes from the coffee or something, whatever, and she's returning to the table and she's making eye contact with you as she's walking towards you, you're in, buddy. Yeah,
That's good. That's actually a really good one. Yeah, see, you see these things as men. Like women just kind of do these things naturally
yeah.
if we're into someone. I haven't really necessarily written it all down, but
Well,
it's you're all the
that's one for you to remember. If
yes,
you're into him, yeah, go to the
eye
bathroom,
contact.
walk
Go
back, and make eye contact on your way back. Yeah,
nice. I love that.
that's a big one. Yeah. So and so that the say there were, and I'm sure you get asked this a lot as well. The dating's going quite well. Maybe you've been on two, three, four dates. Maybe even you have aspirations as a man to pursue other relationship with this woman,
Mm-hmm.
and then she ghosts you. What the fuck happened?
Mm.
What happened there?
Mm. It could be a number of things. She could have met someone else. It could be that she, oh man, it could be that you said something that cued her that was like a turn off. It could have been something that you had done. You might have come on too strong.
Can that be fixed, for want of a better word? If you feel like you said something and you get the silent treatment for a couple of days afterwards, and you begin to realize, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have said that. I pushed it a bit too far. Let's take a common thing here. You're obviously been in a few relationships or been in a few dates together. Maybe you haven't
Hmm.
had sex yet, and the man wants to have sex, and
Hmm.
he's sort of pursuing that with the woman, and maybe he's put it out there in some sort of way that the idea
Hmm.
of maybe staying with him for a night or sleeping with him or something like that. Maybe it's getting into some sort of sexual talk or sexual texting or whatever,
Hmm.
and then she goes quiet
Hmm.
because I think this is I think that's the I think that's the fine line that men cross, and once they cross it, there's no way back potentially, or is there a way back?
Yes, I think that there is a way back, but I mean, don't ever send a picture of any
No, no,
of any
we're not going
anatomy.
there.
Don't ever send a picture of that because women
Your earlobe maybe, but that about it. Yeah.
uh, we are repulsed. We're repulsed. It's like the I don't even know where that idea became a thing, but um yeah.
It's men seeking validation again. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you wrote a woman and said, I think I might have overstepped or I've just, did I disrespect you in a way that made you feel uncomfortable? You know, would you be open to talking about it? Or, would it, can I get another shot? Can I shoot my shot again? I mean, depending on what your personality is, some people have been funny with me and have been able to kind of like get in with humor. And I'm like, okay, let me give them a second chance. They probably, because I have four brothers, right? Like I grew up with locker room talk my whole life. I know sometimes, which head men are thinking with, and I have empathy for that. And if she's a good woman, she has some understanding about, sometimes men, their testosterone gets the best of them. But I think it's about being genuine about it. And if she's really truly interested, and if you come across and you say, look, like, hey, I might have effed up here. Do you think that, I just want to take a step back. I don't want you to feel disrespected. I value you for all these reasons. These are the reasons why I'm interested in you. And like make her feel that you're not just interested in getting in her pants, like that you actually, like for me, a man could say like, I love that you play music, or I love that we share these things in common. Then it would make me feel like, okay, he's interested in more than just my poo-tang. Um, but there's times when no, it's not. I've had men send me like links to lingerie, and I'm like, no, this is not this is not salvageable. Because if you're sending that to me, you're probably sending that to the other five women that you're wanting to see. You know what I mean? Like it's just so it just depends on like how egregious the offense is, if
Hmm.
that makes sense. But what do you think? Has that happened to you? That's an interesting one.
No, no, I never
He's
happened.
like, I'm
Never
smarter than
happened.
that.
Never happened to me. No, no. Yeah, it's you do need to know where to draw the line with a woman, and I think it's quite a risky thing to do to communicate anything like that through a text message because all you see is written text, and there can be a misunderstanding with that. So anything, if you're going to discuss anything on a deeper level with a woman, be it some sort of deeper connection, physical or even emotional or whatever it is, that's done in a face to face manner, and then it can be discussed. So just fucking hold out until the next date and talk about it there, as opposed to coming up with ideas for what you'd like to do to her on the next date.
And guys might speak like that to one another, right? Like guys might use that type of language with each other, right? That like kind of brazen, I want to F this, F that, I want to do these things to you. Like that's we're there's a point in time where like if we're in a relationship, right? If we're like 6 months in and we have established that connection, of course, like the
Trust. Yeah.
whole dirty talking and getting to that level, but that takes a lot of time with women. If you're not in a relationship yet, or you are just starting to get to know them, month one, and you start to sext and ask for pictures or, talk about, trying to create this like foreplay intimacy over text, that is not going to work. That's You're going to fall flat on your face because women don't, like you said, women don't respond to that. Have a face-to-face conversation or create that foreplay with like sending her roses versus sending her a dirty text. Like,
I thought you were going to say something
there's
else there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's yeah, you're definitely right. But there's also women out there that would respond to that. And my
Mhm.
argument would be, well, if she's responding to you like that in such a short space of time, she's most likely responding to other guys. So you're
100%.
not the only one. How does that make you feel?
100%.
So
Yeah. And the level of, again, what I find too is that people who go like hypersexual very quickly and people who kind of go into that realm, that tells me a lot about them and their level of intimacy. Because if somebody's really looking for a long-term relationship and wanting to build something with someone, I'm all about women and whatever the sexual revolution. You do you. Like I'm not, it's not my place to judge, but a woman who is truly looking for a relationship, it's a slow burn, and she herself is going to respect her body. She herself is going to take her time physically. I'm not talking, she's not going to make you wait. Fine, depending on what your religious beliefs are, make you wait 6 months. That's a conversation that you need to have between the two of you. But she's not she's not going to respond to that because she respects herself.
yeah,
She has self-respect.
and that's the type of woman that you want
That is
to
because
pursue a
she
relationship with.
exactly because
Yes.
she's not going to be giving a bunch of thirst traps on Instagram, gaining male validation from other people. Like, yeah, like a woman who is confident in herself and just wants one man has zero desire to be
Hmm.
taking pictures of her ass and posting them on the internet.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, if a man is in a relationship and it's
Yeah.
gone stale, because I know you do have a lot of men who reach out to you who are in relationships, potentially long term relationships, and the relationship becomes sexist or stale in some sort of way.
Hmm.
How can that be rectified?
So, in my personal experience, um, there's a lot of things that happen to get to that point. So, I mean, it depends if you have kids, it depends if you don't have kids, it depends on what stressors are in the relationship. A lot of the times, I don't know if you're familiar with Esther Perel, her work.
I've heard the
She's a,
name before. Yeah, she's probably come
yeah,
across.
she's great. But what she says is in the beginning, if you look at, there's been a study that was done with 6,000 different, men and women. And she said after, 30-year marriages, right, they tracked a woman's sex drive versus a man's sex drive. So with what happens after the first year of marriage is that a woman's sex drive or a woman's desire, right, like drops significantly, like off a cliff. With men, it just kind of slowly tapers. They still desire their wife, 20 years from now. Their sex drive might not be that of a 16-year-old, but it's still there. So I think what happens with that is that women need to acknowledge that we actually crave more novelty than men do, which means we crave different experiences. We want to feel kind of this kind of excitement. Men don't necessarily need that. So what I mean by that is creating that like tension, this like sexual kind of tension and that polarity. If we don't feel that, if we don't have that, women have a hard time staying engaged with sex in a long-term partnership. But there's ways that you can create that. Doesn't mean that you have to create that with sleeping
Handcuffs
with.
and
Well, you could do that too.
bondage. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, depending on if she's open to it. Yeah, I mean, there's certain things,
Yeah.
but a lot of the times, we kind of lose the mystery. Like men just get comfortable, and that's 100% okay. Men are creatures of comfort. They like it. They, oh, I'm in a safe space now. I'm married. I'm happy. And women, again, there's a reason why those gray books, I don't even read them. What are they? The bondage ones, the Christian Grey,
Oh,
50 Shades of Grey,
yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I didn't even read them, but my sister-in-law was reading it. My other friends who are married were reading it. I mean, so there's a reason why those books do really well, is because they tap into this kind of like dark, mysterious side that women aren't necessarily privy to themselves. They know that they like it, they know that they want it, but it's a little scary for us to admit that we might want some of these things.
There's a
So
shame. There's a
one,
certain shame attached to it, isn't there?
yes, 100%. I would think, I mean, if you talk to a lot of my friends when I was growing up, us women, they would come and talk to my mom because my mom it was very open. She was like the sex therapist to all my friends. It was really weird at the time, but she was older. I mean, my mother had me when she was 40, so she was like, I don't care. I'll have all the kids over. Let's talk about it. So anyway, there's this women don't talk about sex as much as men, just in general. We're not as comfortable with it. So I think it's creating novelty, right? And it's like doing these things where you're meeting at the restaurant versus driving in the same car together. That's something that the Gottmans talk about. The John Gottman, they have a research center in Seattle. They talk about creating these experiences where you're going back to the days when you were dating. I think women appreciate that much more than men do, just in general. Like we want to feel this kind of excitement. Whereas I give men advice to, if you're going home, surprise her and go take her to a comedy show. Or she thinks the date's over, or like she thinks we're going home and the babysitter's paid for, and like, well, no, like maybe it's, you tell her that maybe you planned a trip to Santa Barbara or go up the coast, and you pack a bag for her, or you tell her this is what you're going to bring, and that's it. That's all you tell her. It's like the mystery and the, oh, I wonder what we're doing. Like women want to know, right? We're like control freaks. Some of us will tell me what we're doing. But if you kind of keep that mystery, it's gonna her panties are gonna be dropping. Like it's just the way that it is. And then a lot of the times I see this happen so many times is a woman will tend to feel that a man is another child. A lot of times men will kind of assume this role where I still firmly believe that even if a man is going to work and a woman is keeping a home, that doesn't automatically mean that she's going to want to 100% take care of you or 100%. Yes, I think, will she mind doing your laundry? No. Will she, fold your clothes? That's fine. If that's her role and you've agreed on that, that's okay. But that doesn't mean that you leave your beer bottles on the dining room table or the couch or wherever. Like you still have to be a contributing member of the household, and whether that's taking out the garbage, she still needs your help. And I think men sometimes think, well, I'm the breadwinner, like I don't need to come. Like what? She's the one that's taking care of the house. Well, let me know how that works out for you 5 years from now when you're in a sexless marriage, because it's going to be, she's going to automatically assume that caretaker role for you. And that becomes very, very unattractive for us. We want to feel a partnership. And we want to feel as though that you are a grown ass man. We want to sleep with a grown ass man and somebody who takes responsibility um, for themselves and for their cleanliness, and the days of like you going to the gym and coming home a sweaty mess and like wanting to tap it. No, like 5 years from now, she's just gonna think that you smell. Like she like go take a shower, go put some cologne on, like the days in the beginning where I think those pheromones and understanding a woman's nature is imperative. Like women come into it and we are very sexually oriented in the beginning because those are those bonding hormones, those are those oxytocin, those hormones are there. We want to have your babies, we want to procreate. Like that happens for us very quickly, and then once we've achieved that goal, then you have to learn how to seduce us in other ways. That was a long answer.
That was long, yeah. But
Yeah, sorry. Does that
no,
make
no,
sense?
no, but that's good though. That's a required answer. I don't think a short answer would justify that. So
Okay.
yeah, use your imagination, man, and take responsibility for the lawn. There's, yeah, or
Yes.
whatever. Yeah, don't expect her to do all the heavy lifting for you. So yeah, and when is it time to let go then in a relationship like that?
Yeah. I think when she has completely checked out and she's not willing to, whether it's go to couples therapy, she's not willing to, well, she's blaming you for everything. I mean, there's got to be a partnership here. Like you have to be able to take responsibility for yourself. And if she is just completely
In denial of it,
ish in
of her own.
denial of her own, of what she's doing as well in the relationship, but if she is so resentful to you that there's so much anger that you just cannot get through, she's got to want to save the marriage or save the relationship, whatever it is, the partnership. Like she's got to like throw you a bone. But if she is just this wall of anger, um, a woman accumulates resentment and anger when she also hasn't shared her truth with you as well. And I think for me, I didn't give my ex-fiance really a choice. I was very angry and I was very bitter and I was very, I don't think there was anything that he could have done that we were headed in the right direction. And I have to acknowledge that, right? Like I was a I was a bitch and I was angry. And so there really wasn't any place for us to go but our separate ways. And I think if you've reached that point in your relationship, and if she's not willing to try anything, then you don't have anything to work with.
Hmm.
And your children might be better off seeing two happy people in separate relationships than together miserable.
Yeah.
I've seen my brothers go through it. I've seen other couples go through it. Other friends of mine have gone through it, and that just the kids will be fine. Everything will be fine
Hmm.
if you're two people happy
Yeah.
separately better than together. Dads especially experience a lot of dad guilt. I
Hmm.
dated a dad who said like dad guilt is a real thing, and to leave your family or to make that decision
Oh
is
yeah.
a huge decision.
Yeah.
That I think that men, we don't give enough credit to men.
So there's a whole lot of obstacles that you need to overcome to get to the other side of that, but acceptance, of course, towards the end of it, and understanding that it was a necessary part of the process to be able
Hmm.
to let go of that. And it takes balls, takes courage. What does the future hold for yourself and what this journey of helping men with dating and relationships? What's happening for the future?
I mean, I guess I didn't realize I set out to want to change the world, but apparently I'm I find so much purpose in this work. Um, one of the things that I'm very passionate about is showing men that there are women that really do care deeply about them, and want to see them succeed. My mission is to really become the man whisperer, and to really provide insights into you all that I've learned over the past decade of my own experience. And I think sometimes men can be really misunderstood, but you all are very like I said, I have four brothers. Men have raised me, who came in to become my father figure. I have many mentors, many men who have really provided a lot for me, provided a secure place for me to grow. And I just, I'm kind of tired of men being misunderstood. And my job is really going to be to help you feel validated, but to also encourage you that there are women out there that are really healthy and that want to be in relationship with to be in a really healthy relationship with you all, and that there are women that take accountability, few and far between apparently, but there are women out there that are really truly wanting to understand you at a deep level. And my searching for knowledge and wanting to understand you all will continue till the day I die. I will always be that type of person. That's just the path that I've chosen. But I really think that we could work to stop this type of divide that's happening, this anger between the sexes. And um, I really think that there's a lot of healing that needs to happen within the next decade. And I think we can do it. I have to believe that we can do it for the sake of our, propagation of the human species.
Hmm.
I want to help and do my part as much as I can. And whatever that looks like, 10 years from now, I'm just
Yeah.
going to have to wait and see.
Well, I know there's a lot of difficulties out there at the moment between the sexes and anger and resentment and everything else, but I'm quite encouraged because there's a lot more conversations about it. I speak
Hmm.
to the likes of yourself. I speak to men who are also on a similar mission to myself to bridge that gap and to become more connected with women and with humans on a general level, and not to live this life of continually trying to protect yourself from being hurt or being rejected or
Hmm.
all of these things. So, if you're going out there trying to protect yourself, you can never truly connect to another individual. So
Yeah.
it takes courage, and I think just speaking about the generation, I think there is a generation there that has been missed or dismissed or ignored or just
Mm,
not attended to on a deeper level. I think it's maybe around those who are 18 to 30 years of age at the moment, sort of that generation there just feel like they've missed something or something's not been
hmm
given to them, or maybe they like, again they've been given too much and not having to earn it. This entitled generation, this generation that cannot handle rejection, and I think they're the ones that need to be spoken to the most. And
hmm
but am very encouraged about the future because of these conversations
hmm
and because of the voices out there.
Oh, there's tons of men in the space. Like I agree with you that are
Mm-hmm.
they are real men trying to make a difference and trying to move
But
people away from this hookup culture and
yeah, that's the same generation that's called it trapped in that hookup culture. That they're the, I don't know, forgotten generation, or as I said, just not being guided in the right direction. So again, it's to speak to them and to hopefully veer them down a more fulfilling path in their own lives, because all of that, the hookup culture, and that's an empty, meaningless pursuit, going to get
yeah,
lost and broken down that road. So
I couldn't agree with you more.
yeah. So yes, where can all these good men reach out to you and get in touch and send you loads of DMs and ask you for loads
Yeah.
of help?
Oh, I already do, but on Instagram, I'm on all channels. I just started YouTube. It's just Sarah Dawn Moore, which is my name. Yeah, and there'll be more to come. I'm sure I'll be able to do a course at some point, but just come and follow me on Instagram and then you'll get all the deets
Yes,
moving forward.
loads of good advice
Thank,
there. Thank you.
thanks, Gavin.
Yes, it's been a pleasure, and we will be in touch. Talk soon.
Absolutely. Talk soon.